Alright, this is episode 2 of the Ultimate Sports Review, here with NCAA Wizard. This is actually part 2 of the 2-part series, so if you haven't seen the first part, the link is going to be in the sidebar, and you should probably check that out first. But moving on, this is going to be the Western Conference preview of this year's playoffs. Right here you see the records as of right now. I think it's a couple games past halfway, so this gives us a pretty good idea of what the record should look like at the end of the season. You got San Antonio at the top, actually. That's kind of surprising. Then you got LA, Dallas, Oklahoma City, Utah, New Orleans, and then after that it's kind of a bunch of teams that are underperforming. Portland, Phoenix, Denver, Houston, teams like that. But we're probably only focused on the top teams that will probably emerge from this conference. Starting out, we got San Antonio. I think the main reason they are performing like they are this year is that they're winning the close games that they should be winning, and also their rookies coming off the bench, or not their rookies, they're young players. Blair, Hill, they're really coming on strong this year. They've improved a lot. They picked up Gary Neal this offseason. You probably don't know who he is. Nobody knew who he is, but the Spurs tend to find players like that. He's playing very good basketball for them. And another key is Richard Jefferson. He's actually, this offseason, he went with Pop and he just said, I need to fit in with this offense. So Pop just put him through fundamental drills. You see him there getting into a little scuffle, but he's really fit in this year. He's finding his groove in the offense, and I think that's a huge contribution to the Spurs offense from last year. They should make a strong run into the playoffs. They've been healthy, which is something that's unlike many of the other teams in their conference. But if they continue to stay healthy, they're actually on pace to having a 70-win season, which the San Antonio Spurs have never done before. So look for them to make a strong run in the playoffs. They'll probably make the Western Conference Finals if they can stay healthy is the key. Moving on, we got the LA Lakers, of course. They've always been there, it seems like. They'll probably always be there as long as Kobe's around. This year, though, it's a little different. They're not the overwhelming favorites that we've seen before. They've kind of had some conflict in the locker room. Phil Jackson isn't really liking how Kobe's taking over games and not getting other players involved, which has been an issue in the past. It's just more so of an issue this year because they're not winning as much. I mean, they still have a great record, and they'll still probably make a strong run into the playoffs. But I think the key here is that Kobe really wants that 3 in a row, the 3rd championship in a row. And I think he feels like he's having to do more, and he's trying to take over the game more because he wants that so badly. But if Phil Jackson can settle them down and they can play their classic LA basketball, they should of course be a good threat come playoff time. They lost a game last night against Dallas in Dallas after they were up like 15 at halftime, which has got to be really discouraging. But we're only halfway. We got the break coming up, the All-Star break, so look for them to make a strong run the second half of the season. They'll be good come playoff time, and they'll probably rival the Spurs and the Mavericks. And the Western Conference should be strong playoffs. Every series should be very good. Probably the team after this, I would have to say, has the best shot of reaching the Western Conference Finals has got to be the Mavericks. I mean, they went down. Dirk went out for a while. He had an injury. I think he was gone 10 games, and they went two wins and 8 losses in that stretch. But also another key loss is that they lost Caron Butler, and this is going to be something that's going to be hard to overcome in the playoffs. He was one of their guys that they could rely on putting up points night in and night out for them, and it would kind of take the load off Nowitzki a little bit. And I think he's shooting on coming back. I think he's out for 3 or 4 months, and he's saying that he's going to try to be back come playoff time, but he's not going to be the same player. I mean, he might be good for the team then, put up the same amount of points, but he's going to need time to adjust. I mean, to get back into the groove of things. And I don't really know that there's going to be time for that come the Western Conference playoffs, because it's going to be so competitive. I mean, they might end up with Oklahoma City in the first round or something like that, and they're going to need Caron Butler to play at top level. So if they can get Caron back, they'll be a strong team, but it's going to rely on him mostly. After this, we got Oklahoma City, of course. They're just like last year, a little bit better, or a lot better. Westbrook has really come on strong. Durant's improving. But I think the real key that's going to help them this year from last year is the fact that they came into the playoffs last year as an 8th seed, and they had to take on the LA Lakers, which is really a team that matches their weakness because they don't have a classic big man per se. They're athletic, they're young. They kind of remind me of that Golden State team that came in as an 8th seed and knocked off the Dallas Mavericks in the first round a couple years ago. They remind me a lot of that. So as long as they're going to struggle against teams with a big man, though. So if they face like San Antonio or even LA this year, I think they're really going to struggle. But it looks like they might get the Mavericks in the first round, or might get even someone under the Mavericks, maybe another team that can handle. So look for them to make a playoff run. I just don't know that they have what it takes to get past the Western Conference greats like San Antonio and LA. So in summary here, I really see San Antonio keeping the pace. They're playing real strong basketball. They always win championships in odd number of years if you look in the past, and this year is 2011, so who knows. But they're playing great basketball. If they can stay healthy, they're going to make a real strong run. And since the LA Lakers are playing not as good basketball as they've been playing their past 2 championship years, San Antonio could take advantage of that and get to the finals. Dallas, like I said, Caron Butler is going to be a key there. They beat the Lakers last night, which was big for them, big for their morale, because they had lost 6 games previous to that in a row. So they'll bounce back. Nowitzki's a good player. Oklahoma City, like I said, they need a big man. They'll probably go into the playoffs, make a strong run, but I don't know if they have what it takes to get past the big men of San Antonio, LA. After that, I really don't see any other competitors in the Western Conference. Utah lost Carlos Boozer this offseason, so they're really not the same team. They really don't score nearly as much. I mean, Darren Williams, their point guard, is fantastic, and they're still going to be in the playoffs, definitely. But I don't think they can beat out a San Antonio or an LA or a Dallas or an Oklahoma City. I think they just don't have that firepower anymore. They need to pick up somebody. New Orleans, they're okay. They're solid. Chris Paul, he's a good player, but I just don't see them either. Then after that, Denver, Carmelo's not wanting to play basketball for them right now, so he's going to move and Denver's going to drop off. They might not even make the playoffs. Unless Carmelo stays, then they'll probably make the playoffs, but I don't think they'll go anywhere. Melo's just not playing inspired basketball right now. And then after that, it's really nobody to be concerned about. You got Portland, who just lost Marcus Camby with a knee injury for the rest of the year. Phoenix lost Amari Stoudemire, obviously. Houston's playing subpar basketball. They lost Yao Ming. The only other dangerous team down there is I think the LA Clippers could make a run here. I think they've run 3 in a row right now, and I think they're a dangerous team. They're not gonna get to the Western Conference Finals, but they would be my potential upset team for the Western Conference. So if I had to choose right now who would be in the Western Conference Finals, I would pick San Antonio and LA, and I would put San Antonio over LA in 6, maybe 7, probably 6 games. So I put them in the finals in 6 games, I'd have to say, over the LA Lakers. Partially because they'll have the home court advantage this year, so they'll get the first 2 games at home and then go to LA. And partially just because I think Kobe's still going to continue his selfish type of basketball because he wants this championship so bad, and he feels like he has to do it himself because other players aren't living up to what they did last year. So look for the Spurs, the Lakers to make strong runs, but I really see the Spurs emerging as our Western Conference champions this year.